So, first of all, you jump from jazz touches to stoner riffs to death metal, with a wide range of influences, explored to the limits in between all these influences. And where do you think Opeth magic and dynamic sound, this music dimension, comes from, and what makes you so unique, in your opinion? What do you think?
Well, it's really hard to say how unique you are yourself, because I think that's pretty much up to people to judge, but I think there's so many different influences in this band, and I think that contributes to the sound a lot. There's everybody listens to so much different music, and from like 60s and 70s music, and we all grew up in the 80s, listening to metal of all kinds, and I guess the band started out as a death/black metal band, but with different influences as well.
What is your role in the composition of the songs?
Usually Michael, he writes most of the stuff, both lyrics and music, but since I'm pretty new in the band, I don't really know how it worked before, but for this last album we rehearsed a lot, and I think that gives each member the opportunity to have a lot more to bring to the sound, and yeah, we spent a lot more time.
Okay, and how did you get in touch with the band? It was like you were a friend before, or what? How did it happen?
Yeah, sort of. Sweden's a very small country, and even smaller if you play metal or hard rock. Everybody pretty much know each other, So, but I knew Michael from before, and we live in Stockholm. All of the guys in this band live in Stockholm, and me too. So we out a bit, when we're not on our separate tours like before, and then they asked me if I wanted to come along and play keyboards for their Damnation album, the touring of that album. And so I did, and I guess I just got stuck.
Were you a fan of the band before?
Yeah, I always liked Opeth. I thought when they released the first album, Orchid, that was like a breath of fresh air to that scene, at least for me, because I was pretty bored at the time with lots of the death metal stuff. It seemed to me that a lot of bands some bands, good ones, faded away, they broke up or whatever, and some bands didn't develop as much as you'd hope for, as a fan. And to me, Opeth was like a new view of playing that kind of music, and it was pretty appealing to me. And I didn't know him at the time when I heard that first album, but I got to know them a couple of years later.
Opeth is a band that is really much appreciated by the critics. Actually, I have here some articles, some pieces that I read from Rolling Stone, for example. It says Opeth continually expands the definition of what metal can be. Or we have Classic Rock, who says Opeth live show is an experience any rocker should live at least once. Then there's a then alternative that states Opeth has swilling appeal and grittiness. The Village Voice from New York says Opeth carry prog atmosphere to epic extremes. Most every song drags you through 10 minutes of melancholy, more magnificent than Swans of Joy Division. So, actually, you're very much appreciated, but what I was wondering, is it rock and roll for a band like Opeth being so well appreciated by the critics or not?
I don't know. Obviously, all the stuff that you just read is like fantastic and nice words, but I mean, there was also a time when nobody gave a shit, if you can say that, shit about this band, nobody wanted to bring them on tour, and they didn't get any tour support from the previous labels, so I mean, I think everything goes in circles, and maybe it's Opeth time now. I don't know, you know, because I think this band has always continued to do and write and play the music they believed in, and I guess sometimes it's not hip, you know, and maybe now it is. You don't know, because you can't set out to make a record that everyone's gonna like, and certainly not the critics, you know. I mean, you do what you do, and if people like it, it's fantastic, you know, because then you have something to some people to share your vision with, you know.
You've been compared to Pink Floyd too. What do you think about that?
That's also, it's of course very nice. That's a band that everyone in Opeth likes a lot. So, and I guess in the past played an important role as an influence for the band, you know, since Opeth has pretty long songs and Pink Floyd also has that. And so
you're loved by the critics, also by the fans, and there's a thing actually that, you know, wearing an Opeth T-shirt seems, you know, become like something to be very proud of. What do you think about that? Actually, you know, if you own an Opeth T-shirt, so you rule, you rock, you are the right metaller. So what do you think about that?
Well, that's great if that's the case, you know. The only thing I can say is, like, when I was younger, you know, there were certain bands that you always wanted to have like a T-shirt with, that sort of was the coolest one, you know. But I mean, I don't think I've gotten any better just by being a little bit older, you know. I still cherish my Venom shirts, you know. So I don't know. Well, I hope it's just like if people wants to wear the shirts that we got, that it says something about, you know, musical quality or whatever. I mean, that's great, you know. But I don't know about, you know, if that's the best shirt ever.
Which kind of audience do you have? Which is the Opeth crowd? Actually, also, what kind of T-shirts do you see during the concerts in the audience? Did you ever wonder that?
Yeah, I think it's changed a little bit during the years. I know when I went to see them years ago, you know, it was mainly a metal audience, I would say. You know, a lot of black metal shirts in the audience. I think that nowadays we get a pretty diverse audience, both, you know, how old people are. You see, but I think that's a great thing, you know, that you appeal to maybe more people than just one genre, whatever. You see kids in Slipknot shirts in the front row, and you see like what you imagine could be, you know, older people that was maybe into progressive rock in the 70s and still are into us, which is fantastic. There seems to be like a good crossover appeal for the band, at least at the moment, you know. So nowadays I would say you see both girls and boys.
Okay, and that's good.
Opeth shows, which of course is good, you know, and also kids and lots of older people recently as well, which is cool, you know.
And is it a wild audience or a kind of audience that most like to listen to the music?
That's maybe a little bit more geographical, I would say. Some countries people seem to be more into just, you know, stand and listen, you know, eyes closed. Somewhere else in the universe, but and then of course you got like the more traditional metal crowd, and which can get a good mosh pit going as well. I love it when people just, you know, mosh away or whatever, because that's the way I was like when I was going to concerts. So
preferred to be wild, okay.
Yeah, especially if it's like a metal concert, you know.